What's up? So we're heading to a late breakfast with Reezy Resells. He's in town, so first time I meet him in person. Should be really cool. Maybe we'll do a little bit of like private label brand building versus reselling. So what some of you may not know is that I actually started as a reseller, so I used that to leverage it into taking a risk and starting my brand. So definitely understand that whole world. So should be really cool. Dude.
How's it going, man? It is what it is.
Jessica.
Nice to meet you, Jessica.
The man Reezy himself.
What's up, guys? Right, so one of my first hustles I did as a young kid is I used to, and anyone can do this, I used to recycle cans and stuff for money, cans and bottles. But I wouldn't
did that in college.
I wouldn't just go and get them, right? I would go to apartment complexes where like, you know, hundreds of houses are, and then they have like a congregated recycling area where they're not getting money, they're just giving them to the apartment complex. And I would just go in there and like push a shopping cart in there and just like load it up and then push it like a mile, I'm like 8 years old, to a recycling center.
Yeah.
And then make like 50 bucks and you're 8 years old, you know?
Yeah.
And then what would I would do?
Good money.
I would take that and I would go to the grocery store and I would buy a case of water and a case of soda when they were like 20 cents a soda, or I think it was 20 cents, it wasn't even a quarter yet for like a grocery store soda or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I would hide my textbooks from school in the bushes. I would go get a trash bag and put it in my backpack and then go to a hotel, steal some ice, fill up my backpack with ice, put sodas and water in it, and then go walk up and down the beach and sell bottles of water, cold water and soda for $1 or $2. And like, kill it, crush it, and like, I could go do that right now, right there.
Well, people are lazy.
It's all about knowing, you know, where we live. We have tourists. It's hot.
Yeah.
There's a beach. You don't want to get up off the beach. You're already on vacation, you know, and it's just like,
there are endless amounts of raw hustle opportunities, like reselling, like stuff like that. And like, it's the question I get: how do you start private label with $200? You don't. You know, you go find a hustle. You go find that raw hustle that you can exchange your time and your energy for cash, and you accumulate cash, and then you put that cash into things that are riskier, other business opportunities, and that's how you level up. It's never the first thing.
Yeah,
you know?
You quit eating out. You know what I mean?
Like, where would you
How many
be?
times do you eat out a week? You know, what could you eat that's cheaper? Like if you got to eat rice and beans for like a month or for 6 months, you know,
yeah,
you can do it. Even if you're just saving $5 a day, eventually you'll have $500.
Yeah, and like what we were just saying is like where you live. Like if you live in Kansas or Nebraska or whatever, it's like, you know, like, yeah, I mean, you can find a way to just,
like, people are terrible at recognizing their skills, you know? Like, you can, for example, if you speak more than one language, you can make money on the internet as a translator. Like, I just speak English, right? Like, I know people that speak, like, 3 languages, you know? I'm like, dude, you speak Korean and you're, like, a cultured American, like, with good English? Like, dude, you can just sit at your computer and, like, people will schedule appointments with you to, like, translate stuff for, like, $50 an hour, you know? Like,
yeah, and those might not be ways to get rich, but there's an abundance of ways to just put in your time for money. Like there's an abundance of that. Even from, yeah, I mean, it shows you that you can go out and get money, you know? And that's where most people are stuck, is they're just like sitting there trying to figure out how, like, the one thing that's going to break them through or whatever, like that one, you know.
Well, school teaches you to become a worker bee, right?
Yeah.
And to just like work and then like, oh, get off work, and like you watch TV shows and stuff as you're growing up, and that's what they do on the TV shows. They like get off work and they Al Bundy their hand in their pants and just watch Oprah or whatever, eat bonbons, and it's like, that's never going to get you ahead, and they want you to not get ahead. And it's like, also they think of like, the only picture that they have, that they teach you in America as a society, is like, you got rich, like, or like you made $100,000 a year, like you made it. Like where we live, $100,000 is not shit. It's not shit. You're never gonna get rich making $100,000 a year living in Santa Cruz or living
100% agree.
in
100%
LA.
Agree. I've said this before, is that like I actually strongly hate specifically the goal of making $100,000 a year. And this is a mistake that I made, because I remember, like, I don't know, I was probably 16 or 17, and I was starting my hustles and stuff. And I remember like telling my dad like all my plans, and it was like, if I can just do X, Y, Z, I can make 100 grand a year. And he would just like tell me like, that's not that much. Like, it's really not that much. Like 100 grand a year is nowhere near rich. Of course, it's livable pretty much anywhere. I mean, you can live comfortably. I'm not saying it's nothing. It's an okay first level goal, but if your goal is to like seriously have a next level life, 100 grand isn't shit. Like it really is.
And
not.
You don't even have to want much to realize that. Like, I want to travel a lot.
Yeah.
I want to reach more people. I still have to work in my business. You know, like, you want to work on your business instead of in it. You might need a little bit more money, right?
Yeah.
It's just terrible. At least you had like some guidance. You know, I never had that type of, you know, my dad never seen that type of money or whatever, you know, so it's like it's harder for me to get that, and like everybody's different, right? Like you might have had a little bit, I might have had none, you might have had more, like whatever, but everyone needs to get to different. There's people that follow me that they're like, I quit my job, I was making $130,000 a year, you know, and I quit my job and now I'm selling books and I'm making more, or like whatever, now we're doing private label or whatever. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I would have quit. If I made $18,000 a year 13 years ago.
You mean you would have been so comfortable?
Yeah, it's ultra comfortable.
Right.
Because my last job, I made 18 grand a year. Worked at a skate shop before I started my Amazon journey, right? So like, it's just totally different for everybody. You know, I know a guy that does wholesale, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, and he made like over 200 grand a year as an engineer, and he quit that to work for himself reselling, and now he sells like, you know, 5-8 million a year on Amazon with like him and one worker, and his whole business model is very slim margins, 10 to 18% margins off of, in like higher dollar products though, you know, and it works for him because when you're selling 5-8 million, 18% of that in profit is like doable depending on how many people you have, you know. But a lot of people don't know, you know, he's spending $150,000-$200,000 a month buying inventory,
right?
And so like that won't work for you. That's the advantage that he had, you know, because he had more capital to begin with, you know. But everybody's different, and everyone tries to be exactly the same as other people. And it's not just in business too. It's like in diet too, you know. They're like, well, that person ate that, I want to eat that. Like, dude, your body's not the same as that person. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's different.
Dude, that was great.
What's so nice about it?
It says it's the perfect weather for me to go to a park.
The park? You're at the beach. Why do you want to go to the park?
Because I want to go to a park. I made all the way back.
Nice. High five, bro.
I freaking bought a Mavic Pro and haven't even used it.
Don't tell anyone.
It's like so bad.
Too embarrassing. Don't say it out loud.
I just like haven't dealt with it. I don't know. I need to figure out how to do it and all that.
Connection again. Oh, mine went right on. What's up, guys? Here with Reezy Resells. You all know who he is.
What is up, Lobersteinians?
Yeah, I don't have a thing. Lobster?
Loberstein or Loberstein?
Loberstein.
Lobersteinians.
You just call them the lobsters, though.
The lobsters? What's up, lobster fam?
Haircut looking tight. Thank you.
Dude, always.
It's becoming like a meme on my channel. I swear, like people are literally asking me like, how
often do you get a haircut? Once a week?
No, like every 2 weeks. Like, no, like
minimum.
3 weeks usually. Because I usually slack. Sometimes even 4 weeks.
Your hair must grow slow, man. I'm Portuguese. My hair grows fast. People are like, Reezy, you shaved. I'm like, dude, it's not like I'm trying to grow a beard.
It actually goes pretty quick. I think it still looks mostly the same. I already know him. Go check him out. Realest dude on the reselling game. So make sure you go.
Thank you, man.
For sure. I mean, who else is? I mean, I don't pay attention to anybody else. But I'm sure out of all of them, like, yeah. I mean it though. I really do.
Yeah, no. Matt's a cool guy too.
He's the only one that you call. No, I'm just joking. All right, guys, take care. So let's do like a quick private label versus reselling. Matt Loberstein versus Reezy Resells. The reality is a little different, but I'll throw that out there because it's fun. So maybe let's like both just like run through some kind of like what we think the pros and cons of each are.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I'll start. So for me, obviously a con of private label is that it's expensive. You can't just, you know, go and flip $5 into private label, you know, like how do you start private label with $200? You don't. You go to the garage sales, you go to the flea markets, you go to the thrift stores. I think reselling in general, like what I do, a lot of secondhand stuff, is very accessible. Anybody can do it. You can do it on the weekend. You can do it a few hours here or there. You don't have to like learn keywords or ads or marketing or like research products, which is very huge. It takes a long time, and you know, you can grow your capital with high margins over time, and then you can roll that into things like retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, which are even more accessible than the secondhand market, but cost more money. But you can again build that capital like that. And while I'm a big fan of private label and I hope to go into it myself, it's just a little bit more work up front, and it costs more. But again, you can get there probably through the things that I do and those methods, you know. But again, you know, obviously I'm probably doing, you know, way more daily work, you know, so why don't you tell me how you see it?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I very much agree, and I think that I want to talk about reselling a bit on this channel sometimes, because that's really where I started. That was where I got that capital to throw it into riskier things that have potential upside. You know, like everyone's talking about drop shipping, affiliate marketing, and I think, like you said, it's super accessible. Anybody can go run and buy something used at one price, not even arbitrage, used. Like, that's what I did. I didn't ever really do retail. I didn't really ever do the arbitrage thing, but used, it's so accessible to you. It's something anybody can do. Anybody can get started with it. So I think that's huge. And you can start it with much less capital. Whereas private label, yeah, it's less work in the long run. Whereas with reselling, it's 24/7 hustle. Like, you don't make any money if you don't do it, right? Whereas with private label, the goal is that you put in the work up front, you get this thing rolling, and then it's sort of hands-off. I would never say it's 100% hands-off. You want to keep adding new products and doing things to optimize, but it is more of a hands-off thing. And it also has more scale. You know, you could end up selling 10 a day or 100 a day, and your amount of work is the same. So, but that said, like, the downside of private label is it's riskier. Like, reselling is basically guaranteed unless you like get a chargeback or you get scammed or something. I mean, it's like pretty much bulletproof. Whereas private label, like, you need to be in a position where you can risk some money and you can risk it not going well. That's what I always say. So, you know, you need some sort of way to build up money that you can then play with, right? And like, you can play with private label, you can throw money into it, see how it goes, see what happens, because it's not as guaranteed as reselling. But again, the downside of reselling is it doesn't really scale as well. But I think it's, in my personal opinion, it's the best way to get capital for whatever other business you're thinking about going into. Because to me, it came naturally. That's what I did. I was flipping cell phones and I was flipping vintage watches. And yeah, it comes super naturally to you. And I also think it just exposes you to e-commerce super easily. It's kind of like what Gary says, like, sell the stuff around your house. Totally agree. I like just grew up with that in my mind. We were talking earlier about like knowing the true cost of something. Like, if you buy this camera, your cost isn't that much really, because you could always resell it. Even if it's at a loss, your true cost is different than the amount you pay. So that sort of led me intuitively into reselling. And yeah, to me, that was what I did to be able to fund riskier things like private label. I took money from the raw hustle of reselling and put it in something more risky but scalable.
And I think that's why Gary talks about reselling so much too, is because his question he always gets is, you know, Gary, how do I do what you're doing? How do I start doing social media? How do I build a brand and maybe make an agency and become an author that has a book? Like, how do I have the time to do that? Well, you have two options. You can either like work your butt off when you're off work on that, or you can, you know, you need to make extra cash, and like, here's how you can do it by reselling stuff, because it's accessible.
It's super accessible. And maybe even that way maybe you do reselling with a job. That was my first step. I was reselling with a job. Well, I had a job, then I was job plus reselling, then I quit the job, and then I was reselling, then I was reselling plus starting private label. So it's like I'm always sort of leveraging the one thing into the next and taking that additional level of like risk, but you're taking that jump into the next thing.
But you're also hedging your risk at each step of the time, not just quitting.
Because I didn't just quit my job and be like, I'm gonna figure out reselling. And I didn't just quit reselling and be like, I'm gonna figure out Amazon. Like, at that time, reselling was what was allowing me to live and eat, and Amazon was what I was allowed to risk playing with, right? Like, I was comfortable with potentially losing some money. And that's what I tell everybody, that like, that's the best position you can possibly be in to start private label, is like, be in a position where you could stomach losing some money. Like, if you're like desperately down to your last $1,000, I think that is it's difficult. Like it's
Right,
harder
yeah.
for me to give advice to that situation. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you can't risk money that you aren't willing to lose already.
Yeah.
It's just like anything, like the stock market,
Yeah.
like any kind of investment.
Now the reality of it is, and the good part of it is that it's pretty hard to lose all of your money. Like loss in private label usually means like you slowly sell out your inventory at cost or a little below or something.
Yeah,
like that.
10% loss,
Right.
20%
So
loss.
so you know, if you can risk 3,000, the chances of you losing 3,000 are actually pretty low.
You might lose 1,000 max.
Right. So you need to be in a position where you can potentially absorb that. I think that's the best place to be. Whether that means you still have a job, whether that means you're running around Craigslist like I was, or you're running around to thrift stores, bookstores, wherever else you go.
Yeah, maybe there's some content to be had in there, you know, how to make the money to private label.
Yeah.
Not necessarily how to sell books or how to sell on eBay or how to thrift or garage sale or whatever, but we're gonna make $1,000 to invest in private label, and I'm gonna show you how we do it.
Yeah, I've thought of that, and I think that'd be great because it's one of the questions I get the most, and I'm like, dude, like go make some money, like whether that get a job maybe. I mean, like I don't care where it is, you know,
Right.
but you need to figure that out first,
Right.
You know. But yeah, I think that was awesome. That's exactly what I believe. That's why I want to have some. Might talk about reselling occasionally. I'll tell my story. You know, I'll tell like how I did it back then. It was really my first real business, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it'd be good for a lot of you guys that like aren't ready to jump into private label or something yet. You need a way to hustle and build up cash, you know?
Like it's like I was telling Matt earlier, one of my first hustles as a kid when I was like 8 years old, and I did this till I was like 14, was I would fill my backpack up with ice and in a trash bag and put, you know, 25-cent sodas and water in it from Costco and walk up and down the beach and sell them for $1 or $2. And I kind of thought about it because we're at the beach right now, but like that's a viable hustle. And like I honestly just had the thought in my head, like I'm gonna make that YouTube video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that hustle, the ice cold sodas and stuff out of your backpack, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk up and down the beach and I'm gonna turn $20 into $80,
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
in a few hours on a hot day. And anybody can do that, you know. You could do it anywhere where there's tourists, you know. And that's just like, it's like hustle 101. If you
Yeah.
want money or you want better success in life, you need to figure out how to get there. And if you really want it, you should be recognizing these opportunities. Like
Exactly.
I don't know how to teach you how to recognize an opportunity. I can tell you about an opportunity that I've recognized, like the selling water and sodas that I just mentioned, but like you need to curate and develop a mindset that like recognizes opportunities like that, you know. Like at least for me, like I'll be with my family members or whatever, and like something happens and they see the gleam in my eye, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I think we could sell that.
Yeah.
Like I think we can make money about that, or like
Yeah.
we can make a YouTube channel about that, or we
Right?
can write a book about that. And it's like, and
Yeah.
they're like, God, can't you ever just like have an
most-
idea or a thought? And I'm like, no.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
know.
capitalism 101. like,
Everything is like, could this be a business? I
Yeah.
have the same lens, and I think on some level that's why I even say like, you got to figure out some stuff yourself. You know, like you have to have that desire for yourself. You know, like everyone's looking for the scalable, hands-off thing from the beginning, and sometimes you need to go sell the water bottles. Or for me, it was Craigslist and phones. Like I've thought about making videos of like me going on Craigslist, hitting people up, like what I used to do, because it's like people need that money up front, but they don't want to actually do those hard things. But
Right.
if you're willing to do those hard things,
maybe
to
they'll
build up
actually
money,
do it if
Yeah.
Matt goes and
Like,
does it.
there are an abundance of ways to do the hard things to make some money, but everyone wants to figure out the hands-off, scalable way from the beginning with $0, and that is hard. So you need to build some money
Yeah,
that you can play
extremely
with.
hard.
Yeah.
You need to have a cushion of risk.
Right,
cushion.
but when you have a solid income from one of these things, it's a lot easier to throw $1,000 at something and see what happens, right?
Yep.
Like you're much more willing to do that now than you were back then.
Right.
You couldn't have even done it back then.
And what blows my mind is that people end up not doing either, and then they just end up taking the job, which is like the least riskiest thing in the world, but it also has a 0% chance of like popping for
No
you,
upside.
and no upside,
Yeah.
but also no risk. And at the same time, you're giving away your life. Like you
Yeah.
only have one life, you know. Do you want to wake up every day and be like, God damn it, I got to go to this job again? Like, should I
Yeah,
quit
dude.
today?
You're
And
gonna
like, trust
die.
me, I know you're thinking about that, because I used to think about that, you know. I
Yeah.
had some jobs and I would wake up and like, God, I got to go to this job again and talk to these dumbass people, and like,
Yeah, dude.
no offense if you were someone that worked with me in the past,
No
but
I worked
offense.
with Reezy.
you know, like I didn't make it through the day if I wouldn't have met Mr. Coffee. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, you don't have to live your life like that, man. You can find your purpose and your passion in life. And like for me, I think it is helping other people find opportunities and learn about opportunities.
Yeah.
And just to hear how I've changed people's lives and stuff, it really fires me up. And I feel like that is my calling, or like my purpose in life. And that fully changed my life, like in how I feel every day or how I think about stuff. And it's like, I want to do more of that. Like that's, helping others is more important to me than helping myself. And I want to do like more and more, what's up puppy? More and more and more of that, just because I just feel like it's my chance to change the world. And like what comes out of that is very unknown and like always positive in my opinion. And like that's very fun for me. It's addicting, and that's what I want to get into. So like if you follow me, if you follow Matt, we want you to succeed. That's why we're doing this, not so we can make a lot of money off YouTube or because we can sell a course, because the truth is we can make way more money if we just double down on our existing craft. Like we're losing money by doing this, but we like doing it, you know? It's like Gary Vee says that your comments are my oxygen or whatever. I say it's like crack. Not that I know what crack is like, but I just can't explain how awesome I feel when someone tells me I helped them feed their family. And dude. And I want you guys to have that feeling too. So like work hard, you know, get your economy in order so that you can have time, own your time, so you can find what your gift is or your passion, so that you can change your life. I'm not saying like selling stuff is like, it's just money, guys. Like making money is not my passion. Like my passion is helping people and teaching other people and changing the world, and you know, traveling, making videos and that kind of stuff. But I need money to get there, you know what I mean? So I have to figure it out, and you guys should figure it out. You got one life, and get to that point where you can find your purpose, because trust me, it'll change your life. It cured my asthma. And like it's insane. I can't even like thank Gary Vee enough for putting me on social media, because it changed my life.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I agree. Like you got to figure out the money so that you can figure out the thing that you want to have impact in, what your passion really is. I feel like I'm still at that point. Like I don't really know my long-term thing, but I do know with helping people, with putting it out there, like you're building this platform that is the long-term arbitrage, that is the long-term value, that is what will lead to anything else in the future. Like building this community, building just, it's leverage, like Gary says, you know, and like helping in the process. It's just win from every direction.
It's like, for example, I was just at a meetup. We wanted to go to Disneyland, and we were thinking about going to Disneyland for the day, and someone at the meetup was like, oh, I work at Disneyland, I could walk you in. And I was like, for real? Like, that's killer. Awesome. So we went to Disneyland, and like I didn't know that was gonna happen. I didn't expect it, you know? I didn't plan it, but it's like, I'm not religious, but I like fully believe in karma, and like I'm stacking karma right now.
I agree. Like, you know, I get the question all the time, like, why are you doing this? Like why give away your secrets or whatever? And it's like, what people don't realize is like, it comes back to us in like, and not to sound all like you said, like weird or whatever, but like it comes back to us in ways that you don't necessarily, like they're not obvious, like, but just random stuff comes up. Like the connections I've made, the people I've met, like the places I've gone to, like it's just, and I can see that it's only gonna compound. It's only gonna become more.
Plus me realizing that if it's not gonna be me, it's gonna be him or him or him. It's gonna be somebody.
True.
Somebody's gonna do what I'm doing. So why shouldn't it be me? Why shouldn't it be Matt?
Yeah, dude. 100%. Like you gotta go for it. I mean, that's my whole thing, is like, and this could turn into like 3 hours long, but like my whole thing is like, how can you not be thinking like all of that shit? Like you're gonna die. Like to me, it's just like, oh my god, like you have to do the thing, you know, like you have to go for it. Like you can't just be complacent watching TV or whatever and just like dying every day, you know, like how can you not be going for it? Like that's my whole thing.
Not that any of that stuff is bad, but like growing up as a kid, like I'm always told like, you can change the world, like go ahead, go get it, change the world. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm on food stamps, I live in a hotel, how am I gonna change the world? Well, now I know how I'm gonna change the world, and I'm psyched every single day.
That's awesome.
And I want you guys to have that feeling too.
Solid. That was sick.
Well, have a safe drive home.
Nice meeting you.
Awesome meeting you in person.
People, and I'm like, when you meet people in person that you've actually like had interactions with online, it doesn't feel the same as actually meeting someone for the first time.
I totally know what you mean.
Because it's like, I am not sure if we actually haven't met before this in real life. That's how I feel.
That's exactly.
Touch the ground.
I feel exactly the same. I feel exactly the same way. It's like we just already know each other. It's like basically no.
Yeah,
different.
we just didn't touch molecules. That's it.
You almost did.
I know. I mean, that's the power of this, right? That's the power of all this.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
Nice meeting you, Jessica.
Nice meeting you. I'm sure I'll see you again.
Yeah. I'll see you. I watch your guys' vlogs sometimes. So. Not a bunch of times, but I gotta. Like,
I know how it is.
Look how many views he has. I gotta check out what he's doing.
Yeah. Another Hermosa Beach sunset.
All right, so since that was probably super long, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap up there. If you're new here, definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the bell next to it as well. You'll know when I go live and do Q&As. And of course, you'll get notified of every new video. Check me out on Instagram too. See you in the next one.